Pastor Mark, it is really a very special opportunity for us to have you here today as our preacher. And I thought before you actually got up to speak that it'd be nice just to find out a little bit about you, because you were new to me, but I just found out not new to everybody. You found a student here.
I did.
And that was interesting. So Pastor Mark Pearce, by the way. The Pearces came from Mackay, is that correct? Is that your home of origin?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where I was born.
And have you ever had an opportunity to work there or nearby?
Well, I learned that when you tell them where you don't want to go, that's where they'll send you. And that's where I went when I graduated from Avondale.
And they sent you to your home church. Wow. When I left college, they sent you as far away from your home church as you possibly could.
Well,
Things
they
have
probably
changed.
reckoned that you hadn't been there for 10 years because my parents moved 10 years before I came to college when I was 11. So they probably thought 10 years later it didn't matter.
Right.
Even though half the family still lived there.
Okay. Now, what we'd like to know is, obviously the Northern Australia Conference was one conference in which you've worked. Where else have you worked? Is Mackay in North or South
North.
Queensland? It is in North. Where else have you worked prior to your current position?
I did, after we left Northern Australia, I still think of it as North Queensland, you know.
Okay, that's all right.
We went to South Queensland.
Oh,
It was a terribly long shift.
Yeah.
Although driving it that's a different story.
Yeah.
And then we did 24 years in South Queensland, in different churches in South Queensland.
So Brisbane is kind of home for you now, in a way?
Well, yeah, I guess that's where our kids are.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
so there's a magnet that takes us north, especially given that our daughter has 3 children.
Right.
So,
Okay, after South Queensland, where did you go then?
we went to Pacific Adventist University just outside Port Moresby in 2019.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from there, where you are now, we're going
Yes.
to come to that in just a moment. Now, I believe you have one wife
Yeah, I'm
and
the husband
2 children,
of one
is
wife.
that right?
Yeah.
Pauline, very welcome to be with us today, as well as having Mark. I notice you're sitting close to the front. That's handy, because I find it's handy having my wife sitting close to the front, because she can always prod me with the words I forget. So, thank you. All right, lovely to have you, though, here too. And 2 children.
2 children.
Grandchildren anywhere?
Yes, we have 3.
Okay.
2 boys and a girl, and the youngest boy is 12 weeks old, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And that's from your daughter who's married in Queensland?
Yes.
And your son not married but still in Queensland?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Is this? No, I don't know. All right.
Yeah. There's no prospects of that changing in his regard, I might add.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Now, what I would like to, you from obviously when you first graduated from Avondale back in the 70s, 80s was it?
80s.
Yeah, in the 80s. When you graduated
Yes.
from Avondale. You have done further study, you've done an MA.
Yes.
And I understand that there was a particular subject there that probably is connected to your interest field at the moment. What was that subject you were doing, or your major thesis?
Well, I did in my MA. I got to write an essay on whatever I liked, you know,
Right.
and that was just because you have to have the formatting right. Dr. Salem told us so.
Yeah.
And so I wrote on Ellen White and other churches. Yeah, and so
What an
my
interesting
interest in Ellen White's studies is there, and probably even before that. Not that I knew it at the time, but yeah.
Yeah, look, and in the little conversation we had over the telephone, obviously one of the other things that probably set you up well for where you are at the moment is your love for history and church history,
Yes.
Adventist church history,
Yes.
and that includes the Ellen White story,
Yeah.
and also the larger Christian history story. So, yeah, we really, in fact, we found a common link that Pastor Harold took you onto, and me a little bit later.
Yes, I went on his Reformation Lands tour in 1996, which is before you took them over.
Yes, you're correct. Yeah, just a couple of years, actually. Yeah, a few years. All right. Now, not so long ago, they invited you to come to Avondale University. Correct?
Yes, as it is now.
It is now.
Yes.
It wasn't when you arrived?
No,
or-
it was still
that gives us a bit of
University
an idea.
College. It was Avondale University College when I came.
Right.
So I haven't done 2 years yet.
Right.
Come July, it'll be 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now you tell us your actual official title and the responsibilities that you have at Avondale at the moment then.
Yeah. I'm the director of the Ellen G. White SDA Research Centre at Avondale University. That's my
Right.
official title,
Right.
Russell, yes. Yeah. And so that means that I spend half of my time doing lectures, and Josh knows about those from last semester.
Yeah.
And the other half of the time is in the research centre and material to do with Ellen White studies and questions and whatever that folks have. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Although these days there's so much online that we don't get quite so many questions as we used to.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Yeah. But still, there is a need for this. And my last question to you is, how your role there is not just for the students and for those doing research in thesis or whatever it may be, but your role is also out to the wider church. So here we are at Foresters Beach. Apart from being our preacher today, we hope they invite you again when our church is not being hit by things like holidays and camp and things like that. But apart from coming and preaching in a church, etc., how does your current ministry benefit local churches as well?
Well, this is where I let it be known, although the message doesn't seem to have gotten through a long way yet, that I am available to go to local churches in different places, and that's all around the country. And I can be invited, although no one's been travelling internationally for a little while, and I think you all understand why, but I can go to other places in the South Pacific as well.
Right.
And I've been invited to go to New Zealand, but, getting into New Zealand, that's been a bit of a challenge too.
I had a question thrown at me by my daughter, actually, in Thailand, who's had to do a particular project in the health area, and she rang with an Ellen White question and health. Mm-hmm. What if people here have a question? Doesn't have to be on health, it can be any particular topic dealing with Ellen White. Mm-hmm. Your role is open to people ringing you at college, university, sorry. Yeah. And actually, asking that question and getting the research.
Yes, and I have had some of those, so send an email to EGW Research Centre at avondale.edu.au if you have a question.
Right.
Do you want me to repeat that? EGW Research Centre at avondale.edu.au.
Right. Don't ask me to repeat it again now. All right. Look, we are very grateful that you've come today, and as I said, we hope this is not the last time. We would like to have more involvement with you over time as well.